First of all, we're hearing a little bit of the plan today. It's not like we haven't heard anything. There's this new system where people will be able to see which hospitals have the biggest backlog and which don't, and people, to some extent, will be able to shop around. Is that a positive development?
So I'm not sure that it is, Tom, because this is a massive backlog that we have. And to be honest with you, as GPs, via the system that we have, the Choose and Book, for example, we already can, to a degree, tell people where the lowest waiting lists are and guide them in their choice when they're looking for a specialist appointment. So I don't think this is actually particularly new. And what concerns me is this is more money being thrown at it that I don't really think is going to change the underlying problems that we have, which will allow us to actually get rid of the backlog. And I think that's actually half of the problem, that money is being siphoned off left, right and centre to things which aren't going to change it. We need to actually look at the fundamental basis of the NHS and see where things can be changed in terms of efficiency, how we're handling things, how we can use the private sector, and stop just wasting dribs and drabs of money. We've wasted a fortune of money over the last 20 months. For example, 37 billion on track and trace that never worked. Imagine what that could have done for the backlog.
And one of our viewers, I've lost the name now, but mentioned that the reason politicians won't talk about a root and branch reform of the NHS is because of the perception that they'd be branded anti-NHS. They'd be branded with this, oh, you're trying to privatise the NHS. I mean, do you think that's one of the motivations politicians have to almost continue throwing money at it rather than actually talk about a more fundamental reform?
I think you're absolutely right. And I think this is the problem that we have to overcome. You know, everybody accepts that healthcare needs to be free at the point of access. And I think there are ways that we can actually do this, but overhaul the NHS, which is massively inefficient. We double up on services and back office and letters, and the inefficiencies are absolutely massive. I came to being a doctor later in life than most people, and I had a 20-year career in a private company where you spent every pound like it was yours and your last. And I came to the NHS and I was horrified at the waste on a daily basis. And as a GP, I'm still horrified every single day. So we have to be brave. The public have to be brave as well. They have to come to the party and say, look, if we guarantee you that we're not going to take away free service at the point of access, but we need to change the underlying basis of the NHS so that in the end it's better for all of us. We have to be brave enough to do that.
I was looking at the King's Fund website this morning, which shows the NHS budget over time, and found some pretty extraordinary numbers. In 2009-10, the NHS budget was £124 billion. Excluding all COVID funding, in 2022-23, it'll be £173.8 billion. That's, what's 73 minus 24? So can we do some quick maths? It's tens of billions 49. More. Whatever. It's 49 billion more. That sounds about right. It's an extraordinary amount of money more, and yet people don't feel like more money's gone in. Where has all that money gone?
Well, I think this is the point, Tom. And I think you're right, it is an extraordinary amount of money. I think it's 40% of all of our taxes are now going into our healthcare. And yet our outcomes are nowhere near as good as our European countries who have very good systems. They're not private systems. And this is what people are scared of. You know, the NHS is not the envy of the world anymore. And we need to actually be able to look at it without being attacked, without being accused of wanting to privatise it. I don't want to privatise it. I want it to be better. And I want our outcomes to be better. And I think half of the problem is that we've decentralised so much. So, for example, I think psychiatry is always a great example. Psychiatry used to be one area where we dealt with everybody that had a problem. And slowly over the years, we've actually sub-hived it off into millions of different specialities. And I've worked in those teams, and I have a brother who accesses those teams. So I know how difficult it is. But when you actually make little bits, so the first first team deals with you for 6 weeks, but if you still need help, they pass you on to another one that deals with you for up to a year. But if you need long-term help, they pass you on to another one. Every single one of those teams will have a back office, secretaries, admin, letters, computers, all of the support. And so once again, the costs to running it are increasing, but not the actual delivery of the service.
And I remember reading recently that the NHS still runs a system of pagers.
Really?
That people have pagers within the NHS and they haven't updated some of the operating systems of computers from Windows XP. No wonder it's more vulnerable to cyber attack and slow and clogged up. And I wish we could learn from countries like France and the Netherlands and Germany, which all have systems that aren't like the American system, that don't force people to go bankrupt to afford care, but seem to run so much better than ours.
Yeah, they do. Social insurance systems.